Good evening, and welcome to Authors Up, our favorite place to be at 7 p.m. on a Sunday evening. I'm very glad to be here, and I welcome all of our listeners and all of our viewers. We have a very powerful program for you tonight. We have a wonderful author and a book that I tell you what, it will be on your heart and on your mind for a minute. It definitely will. But before we get to that, let me say good evening to my co-host. Hello there, Ruth E. Griffin, and hello, Victoria
Hi.
E. Pearson.
Hello. The E's win it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to change your middle initial to E too.
E, that's it.
E2, E2.
That's
How
it.
you ladies doing tonight?
Doing
We are
all
good.
right. How
Feeling
about
good.
you?
Me, I'm good. I'm good. I'm still alive.
Okay.
Still here.
Good.
Yeah, good. There was no hesitation there. That's good.
Okay. She's smiling with her authors up t-shirt on. We didn't
Yeah,
get the memo.
I want another one. I want another one. I kind of like wearing my shirt during my show.
How about that? But we didn't get the
Yeah.
memo.
We need to do this more often. I like my shirt. I like my shirt.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
But we're going to get started this evening the way that we usually do, and that's with talking about our week in review. And Victoria, we're going to start out with you tonight.
You might not be sure you want to do that tonight.
Sure, we do. We're big girls. We can take it.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
I had my colonoscopy on Thursday.
Oh, well, maybe not. I may have spoken too soon.
You know what though? You know what? I last time I had mine done, I had a friend, and she was like, "That is the best sleep you will ever get." And
It was
since she
wonderful
said that,
sleep
I was like,
afterwards.
well, "You may. That's just your focus. Has to be your focus." Then.
Exactly.
But you
When
didn't,
you're going
they
through the
didn't put
prep.
you
When
to
you're going through the
sleep.
prep.
They didn't put you to
What's-
sleep, right? You said
Yeah,
you
I
did.
went to sleep.
Oh
You
yeah.
did. Okay.
Yeah, I was out. But I got a testimony in it. And it's two things, and I'll make it quick. First of all, do not neglect your health. That's my public service announcement for tonight. Don't neglect your health. Don't neglect these tests that are there for a reason, because there is no other way to find out about colon cancer by doing the colonoscopy. And I had dreaded it. I put it off. I was supposed to have it 5 years because they had found one polyp. I was supposed to go back in 5 years. I kept putting it off because it's the process. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's the process. Changing my diet 5 days up to not being able to eat the day before. It's a process. And I didn't do well at drinking the stuff. I won't even go into details. But I had 2 polyps and they removed them. And that had me start on a journey. Okay, what is a polyp? And I'm not gonna go through all of that, but it's another reminder that I need to watch what I'm eating and I need to schedule these tests on time. Now, suppose I had waited another 2 years. Those 2 could have turned into cancer. So that's my public service announcement. Get your test done. And then my testimony is when I went into the operating room. They wheeled me in, and I saw about 5, 6, 7 people in there. And I said, "Well, hey, everybody, it's time for the party." and then some started laughing, and some kind of turned and looked at me. And I said, "How y'all doing? What's your name is?" And they was laughing. And I said, "Well, listen, y'all get ready to get real intimate with me. I need to know what your name is." And the doctor came explaining what she was going to do, blah, blah, blah. And I said, and she told me the risk, and they need me to sign that I understood the risk. And I said, before I sign this, let me ask you a question. She said, what? I said, all this you explained to me, has this ever happened to anybody you operated on? And she said, well, as a matter of fact, no. I said, well, let me sign. Let's go. Let's get this party started. That's all right. Come on, let's go. So I signed, and they had me roll over, do all this stuff. And the one lady, when she pulled back the blanket. I said, listen, you didn't tell me what your name is because you about to get real intimate with me and I don't know your name. That's not fair. So they said that I was a pleasant person. But right before I went to sleep, I said, glory be to God. God, I thank you. God, in the name of Jesus, it is well. And I heard some people say amen. Well, they told my daughter that I was the most pleasant person they have had in that room in a long time.
I can imagine.
My point is, it is your attitude that's going to determine your altitude. And when I woke up, I saw Vinaya sitting over there. I said, well, hey, Naya, how you doing? And I think I said, hey, Naya, about 7 times because I kept going back to sleep, waking up. You know, they was trying to get me up. And I kept going back every time I opened my mouth. Well, hey, Naya. And we just laughed. But you know, if I had rolled into that room just being ugly and nasty, it's no reason for it because they said people are really grumpy coming in there because they're hungry and all, you know, you have to go through for the prep. But I was like, it's okay. These people literally look at you know what all day. Let me bring a little levity into the room. Let me lighten this up a little bit because they was all quiet and sterile. Here I come. It's time to party. So that was my week. I guess I looked at it like that's who I am. That's who I am. I try to bring joy into any experience I go into. And when they walk away from me, they'll remember that girl was in here praising God and smiling and laughing, even despite the circumstances. So that's it for me. That's it.
Good. That's good. That's a good feeling. You had a good feeling and you left them with a good feeling, I'm sure, for the day.
All is well. That's what I'm saying. All is well.
Good deal. Good deal. That's what we're supposed to do. Leave some joy wherever you go. Wherever you go.
Well, what about you?
Last week was a week of change, and I'll kind of leave that right there.
All right.
You all know my water story. You know my water story. I've always got something leaking in my house. Water comes from the ceiling, and just all kinds of places.
Okay.
And I back in November, if you remember, back in November,
we remember.
I had basement issues for the first time, and I had called the specialists to come out, and they put in a system to make sure that no water, was that any water coming in would be drained out and all of that. Very, very, very expensive project. And I kind of felt like I wouldn't see any more water in my basement until Jesus came, because it was that expensive. Well, guess what happened with the recent rain? And we've had rain incidents before.
Yeah.
This time it left me a present, and I went down.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, standing water.
I'm so sorry.
So I called the folks up and said, guess what?
Yeah, Lord Jesus.
When will I see? What's this song? Old pop song. When will I see you again?
When will I see you again? Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, they had not been able to get to me because, and he was very honest, he said, we are so backed up because of all of the flooding in Durham.
Right.
So I was immediately grateful that I wasn't up on the list, because that would have meant that I had flooding, serious flooding.
Got you.
That was not my story.
Okay.
But they are going to come out, and they said he said, you're under a lifetime warranty. You should never see water in your basement. And I thought, you're not kidding.
Wow.
Should never, ever have this issue. So that'll be my story for next week in review, because they're supposed to come out and fix the problem. So
oh Lord, I'm so sorry, honey. I'm so sorry.
But sometimes things happen, and there is absolutely nothing you can do.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I couldn't control the storm. I couldn't
Right.
control how the water got in. I couldn't
Right.
control how to get it out, you know. So you call who knows how to fix it.
That's it. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's your attitude. Once again, it's your attitude.
Yeah, you just gotta kind of wait through the process. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing, and just thankful uh, that I didn't get up in the morning with water at the roof of my car. You know,
That's
Well,
good.
some people
well, and
did.
that would really been bad for you the way you're
Oh,
inclined.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes, ma'am. They would have been telling to take you out.
yep. So
Wow.
it, could have been another way. Glad
Yes.
it wasn't. Wasn't happy with it, but
Right. Right.
I'm glad that there's something they can do. I'm putting that in the atmosphere. There is
That's
something
it.
I can do
Yes. Yes.
that's not going to, turn my little world all upside down. So I'm
Yep.
thankful. I'm thankful through it all. I am thankful in everything. That's why
Give
he says
thanks.
in everything,
In everything.
give
Give thanks.
thanks because it
Amen.
can't
Yep.
go another way. So
All
I'm
right.
good.
All right.
I'm
Life lesson number 2 for tonight. Come on, Ruth. What you got?
come on.
You know what I got. Whatever I've been talking about since last year. So, but no. So last weekend, because I had to think about it. Like when I was looking at our template for tonight, I had to look. I was like, okay, what did we do last week? Did I talk about this? Because again, that's all I talk about. So, but no, because I was in Virginia last weekend.
That's
So
right.
yes, my little M&M, my little peanut was getting baptized.
Yeah.
So she
So
was,
cute.
she really was. Oh my gosh. So her dad is Catholic, her grandmother on the other side is Catholic. So she's going to be raised Catholic. So she was baptized, and we're Protestants. So we're like, just tell us where we need to be, where we need to sit, and all of us. And we
Right.
walked in after everybody, and we sat down, and we and it was really neat experience because the priest kind of preached around it,
Oh,
including
wow.
included the baptism in it. And then like 45 minutes in, my son-in-law, my daughter, granddaughter, and then her godparents, who is my son-in-law's uncle and his sister, they went to the back to where the baptismal is, and we had to sit up front so we couldn't see it. But when he came back later on, and I was like, well, how'd she do? And he was like, she giggled. She thought she was going to get a bath.
Oh.
Oh, I'm like, she did not cry. She didn't do none of that. She was
She's
just
a
a
sweetie.
happy baby.
Oh.
And she got a little grumpy later because she had about 30 relatives who everybody wanted to hold her. So
Oh.
she got a little grumpy, but my husband ended up taking her. He took her out of her clothes, took her for a walk, and she was just like, because it was warm in the
Yeah,
hall
yeah.
that we were in, and she chilled. She was like, okay, we got
Oh.
this. So it was just a
Awesome.
great experience, and it was just at that point too, because they were in the service. They were like, well, we need volunteers from the family, and the other grandmother spoke up, and I was like, okay, I'll volunteer. I don't know what I'm volunteering for, but in the Catholic Church, you have to be part of the part of their church, their parish, all of that. I volunteered, not even thinking about that, and then I walked in the back, and they're like, "Yes, here's the because they do communion for every service. They're like, here's the communion plate," and I was like, "Oh, should I be doing this?"
Oh, wow. Wow.
But no, they didn't say anything. So they got a picture of me and her walking up, and she was like, "I love this picture. It just shows two very dedicated grandmothers." I'm like,
That's
"That's
nice.
cool. That is
That
really cool."
is nice. That's nice that joining a family. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good
So
deal.
it was a really neat experience. So yeah,
Well,
it was good.
good. Good.
Yeah. So I've been looking at pictures and videos all week, and I'm trying to figure out when I can go see my peanut again.
Oh.
I noticed you say that you've been looking at pictures and videos.
Uh-huh.
I,
Hmm.
I don't recall. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't recall looking at any pictures and videos last week. So I'm glad that the family is doing well and doing all that wonderful stuff. But I personally want to know where my pictures and where's the video because I want to see it too.
Apparently, I will be sending those. Yes.
Well, get on the job.
Sorry.
Yes, we'll just let her stew in that because we have our author is waiting.
Yes.
Tell us about our author tonight, Victoria.
Yes. We have a wonderful author waiting in the wings. Stacia was born in Nashville, Tennessee, and received her BA from Mississippi State University for Women in Columbus, Mississippi, and her PhD from the University of Miami, where she studied invertebrate neurobiology and behavior. Oh, that's a mouthful. After receiving their doctorates, she and her husband, David Moffett, did postdoctoral research at Duke University here in Durham, North Carolina, before joining the faculty at Washington State University in Pullman, where they taught physiology, continued research, and wrote a human physiology book. Along the way, they had 3 children and moved into a remote river canyon on the Snake River, where they built a house, planted trees and gardens, and a vineyard, and began a boutique winery that is now run by one of their sons. Oh, wow. It was only after retirement that writing a novel became a goal, and Stacia was inspired to revisit her memories of growing up in the 1950s, a period current culture was misremembering as a golden age. She wrote 2 books of the series Lost and Found in Tennessee to set the record clear. Tonight, we'll be talking with Stacia about her book, Jessa Is Back. So hold on a few minutes, everybody. We'll be right back with our author, and we'll be talking about Jessa Is Back.
Back. Yes.
Hello.
Hello, Stacia. Thank you for joining us today.
Welcome.
I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, we are happy to have you. I'm going to move the screen around a little bit. There we go. And we are going to start our interview. So, Stacia, tell us about your book.
This is a book about the 1950s where I remember much of the culture that was present in Tennessee and in the small towns and in Nashville. And I was I had difficulty telling our children what it was like because they could not believe that there were different water fountains for the Black people and the white people. Mm-hmm. Refrigerated for the white people and non-refrigerated for the Blacks. They couldn't believe there were different restrooms. They had no idea what the separation, that segregation amounted to, was like. And it was repressive for the whites as well. There was a lot of conformity that was required, but it was this vision of white supremacy rising again in this country that egged me on to try to find an audience and explain what it was really like, because I think people needed to know, and I was the horse's mouth and I could give it to them.
That is a way of putting it. I will say that much. You know, even as I was reading the book, you center on a little girl, Jessa, who, and this book is part of a series, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. it centers on Jessa, her relationship with her new friend Janie, I believe it was in the first
Jenny,
book.
yes.
Yes, and there were some quotes in it that I was that started off, and for me it was, this is what the heart of the story was. That you write, you grew up here, so you shouldn't be surprised when these things pop up. What if the neglect of the music education of the colored school was intentional? You just have to have a chance to know each other, and it is those small points that I felt that, okay, this is the heart of the story.
Yes, it is.
um, this is the heart of the story that you're trying to tell, because it is relevant today.
Mhm.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the characters, about the story that you created.
Okay, well, Jessa was orphaned at the beginning of the first book, and she spent a period of time struggling to survive, hiding away from the authorities because her father had been an orphan also, and she was scared stiff that she would be turned over to foster families and experience the kind of rejection that he had. So she ran away with her dog, and in that period of time, she gained a sense of self sufficiency. It was a difficult time, but she also kept thinking about her father's plan and what he had wanted to do in the coming summer to get Black children the opportunities that the white children had been given to have music in their schools, instrumental
Mhm.
music. And her father loved music. Her family operated a music shop. So she was striving to prove herself so that she thought she could go back to the town and be able to do these things and live in their house and just take care of herself. But as it turned out, there was a part of her family that had been split off by an early uh, atrocious accident that had made one of the boys travel out west, and he essentially didn't communicate with the rest of the family. But that part of the family came back to Tennessee just in time to rescue Jessa, and so that was what happened in the first book. In
Mhm.
the second book, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah,
In
go
the
Not
ahead.
second,
so.
We're listening. Yes.
it,
Getting mesmerized.
Right. We're all like,
okay, well, in the second book, I focus more on the people in the town as opposed to just Jessa. Jessa drives the story. Her intention to get this music acceptance, which should have been forced on the school board simply because they were claiming that they were operating in the separate but equal
hmm
regime, but they were not. And it was very evident to her father, who was on the school board, how bad it was. So she had heard all of this, and she kept trying to find out a way to convince the school board. And it all was stimulated by the fact that the family who had come from Portland, Oregon, and rescued her took her back with them to Portland. So for a half a year, she had the opportunity to have a friendship with a Black girl.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
that made all the difference for her. She went back to Tennessee. She saw the segregation. She
hmm
realized how separated she would be from her friend Janie if Janie had come with them. And she began to see how stupid the whole system was.
Right.
And this is what drove her. And the other people in the book, some were sympathetic characters, some were able to respond to Jess's demand that they tried to have interracial friendships. And
Right.
she was very strong on that. She said, we're missing out. This is not fair. It's not fair for anybody. We're cutting off our noses to spite our faces or something. So
Yeah.
she began to agitate, and she did it in a way that a 12-year-old would do it. She was
Right.
innocent. It's a book of innocence getting educated and then trying to convince other people of what she saw so clearly, which
Right.
is that the segregation was bad
Right.
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah. How many books do you envision in this series, or how
Oh,
far are you going to go?
I would love to write a book. I have just barely begun it, in which Jessa meets up with Janie.
Janie. Oh,
Janie,
yeah.
they
Oh,
go
so
by bus to get together, and then they come back to Tennessee. And it's maybe after 5 years.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
in the time when civil rights was going on. I mean, this
Right.
is a sleepy little Tennessee town, and it was ignoring Brown versus Board of Education. It was just going to ignore it as long as it could. But
Mm-hmm.
in about 5 years, things were really in the 60s. Things were
Heated
beginning
up for
to
real.
really happen. Yes. So I'd like to deal with that. I would
Yeah.
very much.
Wow.
Okay. So as I was reading the book, I wouldn't call it nostalgic. And we were chatting about this beforehand. I call it familiar because my stepdad was, a Depression era baby. He was racist, and I thought it was bad until I met his parents and realized where his attitude came from. But a lot of it was familiar to me. This is how we've always done it. Even down
Yeah.
to the culture at the time, the Hank Williams, the Minnie Pearl. Those things as a Gen X. This is familiar to me.
Uh-huh.
How what is your hope for the younger generation reading this book, that this may not be familiar? Because let's be honest, even things that are 5-10 years old, when you talk about, hey, I'm older than Google, some of these younger generation doesn't get it. So what is your hope that as they read this book, what are they gonna get it if there's not that sense of familiarity for them?
I think that they should be interested in taking some steps to get beyond just their own family and friend structure and getting to know people of different races. I think that this is just very important that we have the opportunity now. It's more possible. Schools are segregated, are integrated, but there is a sense in which they are still segregated. And it's
Right.
going backwards. It's going backwards in many places. And I'm afraid that the tendency to have, what were called in the book Christian schools, were just an attempt to educate the whites and deprive the school system in general of the funds that it needed. And we see that happening now. We have the tendency to withhold funding from the public schools. I think that's terrible.
Right.
But I would hope that anybody reading it would get the kernel of joy that comes from the friendships.
Yes.
That this is so very important.
Yes, absolutely. You had mentioned white racism and paternalism. What are those, and how did you deal with them in the book?
Well, the white racism was very apparent in the language that people used. The whole segregated system that governed how the town was operated and how the schools were funded and all of the public services, this swimming pool, the parks, this sort of thing that was off limits to blacks.
Right.
And the paternalism is apparent in the way that women had their roles. White women were supposed to have this very on a pedestal kind of role for the white women. And it totally squelched any initiative a woman might have to make something of herself. She was supposed to simply be a proper wife. And so that was the paternalism, and it was passed along from generation to generation. The fact that the man's job determined where the family lived. If they moved, it's because of his job, and the woman's just to follow. And so I have that developed in some of the characters in the book. Fran was a victim of that, and she was able to overcome it. And I thought that was an important aspect. But after both the First World War and the Second World War, the way that the Black people who had gone to war for this country were treated was just abysmal. And the 1950s represented a boom time for whites, but it was very, very hard for the Blacks.
Right.
And this is where you come in saying we're misremembering it
Yes.
as a golden age.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think that misremembering, and then there's actually a desire to go back. If you've lived in the South the way I have, you have heard white people say the good old days were when we had servants everywhere doing all the work. And that's their attitude. And that's totally abhorrent to me and my family. But it was present, and it hasn't died out completely.
Oh, wow.
No, I would say it hasn't died out.
Yeah.
Even a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all right, let's go back. I got a couple more questions. I'm going to toss you over to Andrea.
Go ahead, Rue. Go ahead.
Were you
Just go ahead, Rue. Go ahead.
Were you a writer before this? Besides the other one, is this your first foray into the fiction?
This is the first writing of a novel. This is the first the freedom writing, I call it. The science writing was very constrained, and it fulfilled a goal that was very circumscribed. And I began writing my PhD dissertation like a novel. I wanted to lead the reader into it and then divulge the results. And my major professor said, no, you have to come right up front and give away everything.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then you take, and you explain how you did it and convince them that you're right. But you give away everything at the beginning. Well, that's not writing a novel. So it's completely different.
Okay. Was it an enjoyable process for you? I mean, you called it freedom writing, so I'm assuming so.
Yes, I lived in the book.
Yeah.
I lived in Tennessee. I lived in the forest where Jessa was first surviving. And then I lived in the town of Radford and worked with the people. And they came like magic to me.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. All right, last question for myself. This is your book. Tell us about the cover.
Well, there's my dog.
Oh,
Stacia on the cover.
Oh, it's a beautiful book.
Yeah. So whose illustration is that?
I did the illustrations for the covers.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right.
I'm an artist when art is called for. I've done murals. I've never developed my artistic skills much, but I think that I felt that I could do a better job than turning it over to somebody else.
No, and I think that gave it a more personal touch to the book. So
Well, I think you need to include that in the bio too. That you designed, yes, ma'am. And that you're an artist. I didn't see that in the bio.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
all right, Andrea, what you got?
Well, I wanted to ask Stacia, and we touched on it a little bit before we got into the interview and into the program. And since she said that the book is so much a part of her, and she's a part of the book, then my question is, what was the most difficult or the most challenging part of the book for you to write? Because I'm sure there must have been some incident that you thought of, or some situation that may have come to mind that was kind of difficult for you to relive, rethink, or remember. Well,
Well,
was there any particular section,
yes,
segment for
yes.
you?
Toward the end of the second book, the performance by Eddie and his grandfather, I was scared of writing that. I knew what it had to be, but I knew it was very important to the book to do that well. And I put it off. I kept thinking, well, it's got to have this, and it's a peak experience for the reader, and I've got to do it well. And I finally pulled it together and wrote that part of this book. But it was difficult.
It was tough. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine. I can imagine. With writing this book, how have friends accepted it? How has it been received by people that that were, in that same era, that had lived through the kinds of things that you lived through, and may or may not want to bring it to mind again? We like to sometimes just kind of bury whatever we can, and keep moving like it never happened, never went on, never occurred. But how have you found that people accepted, or have accepted, or are accepting the writing of something that is, causing them to actually remember truth?
I have relatives living in Tennessee now. Some of them even older than I am, and they have read the book with enthusiasm. They say it's true. It's what I remember. It'll never be accepted in the schools. It'll never be accepted in the libraries. It will be banned. This is what they tell me. And it's just the people in Tennessee and Mississippi and Alabama and Arkansas and North Carolina and South Carolina and Georgia. These are the people I want to read the book, because they are dealing with the issues that
Right.
I mean, people all over the country should read the book, I think. But the people in the South are being challenged now to misremember. And I want to set the record straight.
And we do have a playwright on the line with us tonight, who shares your what should I say? I want to say your passion for this, and that's Shalyn Usry, and she is in the process of writing a movie, Ebony and Ivory, which tackles this same kind of subject with a young white student having a friend who is Black. And you see it and you go, why are we still talking about this? When you hear someone say, why are we still talking about this, what would your answer be, Stacia?
We're still talking about it because we need to talk about it. We have not solved the problems of this country.
Not solved the problem.
No. We need more. equality. We need more fairness. And we do need to let people have an opportunity to get to know each other. I mean, I think that's the important thing for race relations. It will solve the problem if only.
Mhm.
I mean, we've seen it with homosexuality, we've seen it
Right.
with trans people. It's getting to know people who
Mhm.
are different from you and finding out they're real people.
Right.
It's they've become stereotypes that are lacking in any humanity, the way
Mhm.
we treat them.
Yeah.
But that's got to be rectified.
Mhm. Mhm. Did you tell us what your third book might be?
This would be Jessa and Janie
Des and Janie.
coming to Tennessee in 5 years, in the middle of the civil rights era,
Mhm.
when
Mm.
things
Okay.
and I would hope that that would be something that would continue to change people's thinking, revise their thinking by just setting the record straight.
Setting the record straight. I like that. Setting the record straight. So I wanted to make sure that we repeated that so that our listeners and viewers can realize and recognize that this is not the end of this story.
Right.
This is
Right.
almost the beginning, I would say, because
Yeah.
there are many chapters beyond what would happen with these two young ladies and their friendship and
Yeah.
the timing and the change, or not so much the change, but
Yes.
like you said, it we have to face the fact that we are misremembering a
Mhm.
lot of things, and we can't just turn to the side and pretend it didn't happen. So
Yeah.
That's right.
I think it's a very well written story, Stacia. I'm glad that you had the courage to do it, because it does
Thank
take
you.
courage to go back into these time zones that we want to forget.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
very important, and we thank you for doing that. Good book, good read, and you know Victoria's going to come up with your next line. Go, let them have it, Victoria.
Get
What
the book. Get the book. Because that's what I was going to say. I think everybody needs to get the book for your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews. Get this book and pass it around and through and down,
Hmm.
because it's very important. It was difficult to read. It's difficult in light of what we're going through today. And you would think that here we are in the 21st century now, that we would not be going through some of this. But your book brings to the forefront that we need, like you said, we need to remember correctly what actually happened. And for me, um, one of the most glorious scenes was the concert in the park with the women, the
Hmm.
women's concert. And I when I read, I visualize. And
Uh-huh.
so I was visualizing this beautiful, beautiful park with the stage in the middle, and I could see the merry-go-rounds and the playground and the kids. But I saw the separation too.
Hmm.
But then I saw the stage, and in my mind, I'm looking at all these ladies, and how you described some of them helping the elders up,
Hmm.
and the way you wrote, I'm telling you, I visualized it, the helping elderly people like me who still want to sing and helping,
Hmm.
and then they all just singing, and
Yes.
I imagine it sounded like a heavenly chorus.
Hmm.
So is that how
Yes.
you? That's how you
Yes.
saw it?
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I'm so glad. Yes.
Oh, okay. So you
So
saw it that way too when you wrote it,
yes, I sure did. I sure did.
and I was like, I'm singing too.
Well, I think music is a wonderful, wonderful thing to bring people together. And
It does.
she, that was part of the theme of the book.
Right. And I thought it was quite profound how you put in there some religious songs like let's say Amazing Grace, right?
Hmm.
Amazing Grace, How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. But you had the blacks and the whites who singing this same song each week.
Yes.
And it was like a slap in the face. So talk about that. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I brought these people together first in the first book to help Jacob get safely out of jail.
Yes.
And he had been incarcerated unfairly, and it was the sheriff's clerk who organized it, but she had enough sense. She had black friends, and she had enough sense to know that this was something that could bring people together. And so Women First sang to quell the crowd and disarm the situation. And then they wanted to get back together. And that I thought was just so true to life. And it had the young women in there, as well as the older choir members, and they all had something in common. And this was a wonderful thing. And I enjoyed writing that.
And I don't want to tell too much about the book, but I was highly disappointed that the concert was interrupted, because it was just a beautiful thing going on in my mind. I mean, in my mind, we was doing this thing.
Yeah.
But I think the book is very compelling, and I am grateful to have had the opportunity to read it, to talk to you. We always say we love to hear the author of the book talk about it, because nobody can tell a story like you can, because it's your story.
Yes.
So would you tell our listeners, I'm looking at our time, would you tell our listeners and our viewers where they could get your book and how they can get in touch with you? You know, if they want to just reach out to you to either tell you how they liked it or just find out more about you, how would they do that?
Okay, my email address is simply my name, Stacia Moffett, @gmail.com, all written lowercase and together. No dots or dashes or anything, just Stacia Moffett @gmail.com. And I'd love to hear from readers. I would really appreciate that. And the book is available on Amazon. It is available from the bookstores, and it's Jessa Is Back, or the name of the series is Lost and Found in Tennessee.
Okay. All right.
So,
Found in Tennessee.
Lost and Found in Tennessee.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful interview.
Oh, we have enjoyed it. I know I have enjoyed just listening to you. So everybody asked all the questions I would have asked. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been fun. And I look forward to hearing from readers.
We'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
We'll make sure that happens.
Thank you, Andrea.
Stacia, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Again, we thank you for the courage to write what you have written and for writing it so well. We have something to look forward to, because we know that there is more that is going to come from your pen and from your story. Yeah. So we can't wait. Keep us apprised of when your next work is going to come out, so that we can be right there and support it and be able to see where this story goes. So we thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
thank you.
And our viewers and everyone, we thank you for joining us tonight. We thank you for being here at Authors Up. We couldn't do it without you. So we're very, very glad that you have made us a part of your schedule. And on Saturday at 7 p.m., we will do a replay of this show. So if there's somebody that missed it tonight, you've got a friend or a relative or a neighbor or whomever that you would like to have the opportunity to listen to words from the author herself, then be sure to have them tune in and join the replay on Saturday at 7 p.m. Now, Ms. Ruth always has some final comments for us, and tonight is no different. Ruth, you thought I was going to miss you? No. No.
I did. I thought you was going to say it. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ruth.
All right. So we are on social media. We are, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Just search for Authors Up or Authors Up Show. Follow, like, subscribe, and share us with others. You can also email us at authorsup@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Now we are booked up for the rest of the year, but if you would
Wow.
like to consider becoming for us to consider having you as a guest, please, beginning in 2026, we will open that up in September. Shoot us an email and we'll get the process started. So, love to hear from you.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Stacia. And
Thank
we
you.
will be back here next week. We'll have something for you. I don't know what it's going to be, but you know, you never know what's going to happen when you tune in to Authors Up. So we want you to come on back. Be here with us on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. for another edition of the program. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you, Stacia, for who you are and for what you have done and for
Yes.
allowing us to enjoy it all. So that's it for
Thank
tonight.
you.
We hope everybody has a wonderful week. We'll be back next week with water stories and baby stories. And
That's it.
so don't miss out. Come on back, 7 p.m. Sunday evening, right here for another
Good
edition
night.
of Authors Up. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
Bronya.
night. Good night.